All right, so right now the Vikings face two struggles. Number one, we have the COVID situation. No updates on that. I assume that we won't hear any more until they get the test results back, which will be in the next 1 to 2 days. Titans sound like they're shut down for a while. Everything apparently is on the table. They're even talking about the potential possibility of rescheduling games. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Mess number two, the offensive line. As we all saw at the end of the game versus the Titans, so I figured we'd go ahead and take a deeper dive look into what's going on, why this is a problem, and what this all means. So on the board here, we have the entire offensive line starters only listed for the Vikings. Left tackle is Riley Reef. Left guard is Dakota Dozier. Center, Garrett Bradbury. Right guard, Drew Samia, filling in for Pat Elflein, who is still on IR. And right tackle, Brian O'Neill. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fill in this empty gap that has the PFF passing block grades, pass blocking grades from the game versus the Titans, and I just kind of want to go over these numbers and sort of contextualize what the problem is with the Vikings, which is no surprise. The offensive line is bad. It's been bad for a number of years. This is the result of ignoring the offensive line in the NFL draft and just consistently getting players at other positions that don't pan out. So let's go ahead and begin with the pass blocking grades. First, we'll start off with the only good one, really, is Riley Reef. He comes in with an 80.1 pass blocking grade for that game. And it's funny because he's the best one. He allowed, I think, one pressure in this game. And they were going to straight up cut him before the season started to make room for Dalvin Cook. Because they restructured his contract. Well, they extended his contract. So imagine this offensive line without Riley Reef right now. An 80.1 pass blocking grade, not too bad. The best of the bunch. Coming in at number two is well, not really number two. He's the third. He's got the third best total of this group. Dakota Dozier, 56.3. So the guard position continues to be just a barren void of suck, if you will. So that's not good. Garrett Bradbury, who up until that last drive with that piss poor snap has been having a decent season, but he comes in with a pass blocking grade from Sunday against the Titans at 28.8. That's terrible. And he was a first round pick. It shouldn't be that bad. But the worst grade of the day goes to backup, now starting right guard Drew Samia with an awful 1.4. And he gets the asterisk because he allowed 6 pressures on Sunday, and that's brings his total in 2 games to 11. 5 in the first game, 6 in this game. Pass blocking grade of 1.4. He's garbage. Okay, this is the result. You have, Bradbury hasn't panned out. The draft is hit or miss, but you've consistently decided that you're going to outfit your offensive line with table scraps. It makes no sense, and this is the numbers to prove it. And if you're wondering about Brian O'Neill, 57.2. He's still learning, still young. He's got a long way to go, but he's at least not doing what the interior is doing. The tackles are okay. I think they're fine. The problem is with the tackles, they would be playing better if the person next to them wasn't sucking so hard. And then the person in the middle, Garrett Bradbury, is also deciding that, hey, save some suck for me. So that is the look at the offensive line and the pass blocking grades according to PFF from Sunday versus the Titans. Now, what is the result of this? Well, Kirk Cousins doesn't have a lot of time to throw, so Kirk Cousins is bad. Let's move the camera just a little bit. So where does he rank on the passer rating scale after 3 weeks? Minimum 14 attempts per game. So this is the bottom 5 NFL quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in terms of passer rating, and we have the grades up there already. I figured I'd do a little, make this a little easier on myself. Just put the names up there. So where is Kirk Cousins in the bottom 5? Well, he's already in the bottom 5. That's really bad. He's having a poor season. I think he leads the league right now in interceptions, despite a couple of those being Hail Marys. So I will break the news that he's not dead last, thank God. That title belongs to Carson Wentz currently, with a 63.9 quarterback rating. That dude is just playing awful, and he's got way more injuries surrounding him on his team. So it's not a surprise that that's how it's going for him. He's also not the best of the worst. That title belongs to Dwayne Haskins. He's 75.7, so Kirk Cousins is worse than Dwayne Haskins right now in terms of QE rating, and Haskins doesn't look very good either. So where is the rest? So we'll go ahead and fill in one more, and then I'll let you know where Kirk is. Daniel Jones is 31st, and that's no surprise. He's played god-awful. The turnovers are still a problem for him in New York, and his offensive line doesn't offer much of any protection. Okay, so that leaves Kirk Cousins and one other player. And I'm going to go ahead and put Cousins on the board. He is 73.8 quarterback rating at this point after 3 weeks. Abysmal, right? Now, there is, you could point to the time of possession and say, hey, they haven't had a lot of opportunity to move the ball. But when they have had opportunity, it's been bad. So that kind of debunks that narrative. The only other player that he's better at, other than Jones and Wentz right now, is Sam Darnold, and that's not saying much because Sam Darnold is on the worst team in the league. It's pretty close. Darnold is 70.7, Cousins is 73.8. So really, it's just a couple percentage points that he's better than Sam Darnold, and that's saying something because that Jets team is not competitive. They probably won't win a game this year, and if they do, it'll be a huge shock, and the other fan base is probably going to be very upset when it happens. So yeah, it's bad news. This right here affects this right here, and I think that that's pretty clear as day for most people that pay attention to this kind of stuff. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this column is never going to improve until the talent and personnel improves in that column. And the fact that we don't have the cap space in order to lure away good free agents means we're going to have to go back to the draft and hope to hit there. And given the fact that we don't have a second round pick this year because of the Yannick Ngakoue trade, that's going to make things a little bit more difficult. As of right now, if the season ended today, I believe we'd have the 4th overall pick, which would put us in line for Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle from Oregon. And that would make sense because Riley Reiff is likely gone after this year, despite him being the best offensive lineman of the group, go figure. So you're kind of hoping that you can salvage the season enough to not be an embarrassment, finish somewhere in the middle of the pack, get a draft pick somewhere between 10 and 20, and hopefully get Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. That's at least what I'm looking at right now. So that is an in-depth look at the offensive line, the problems that it's causing, and why we're as bad as we are right now. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.